Shalom, shalom. Give me 1 second. Let me just try and sort out this mic. All right, this is the I.S.U.P.K Wednesday law class. Actually, give me 1 second. I'm just going to pull it up on my phone and see if I'm going to pull it up and see if the microphone's working. Give me a 1 if you can hear me. Yeah, that's too old. All right, that's too old. All right, I can hear it. Give me 1 second. Just pull up my notes. All right, this is the I.S.U.P.K Wednesday law class. Also, remember, check out Commanding General YAHANNA's radio show, which is Monday. Check out Commanding General YAHANNA's radio show, which is Monday, 2 a.m. UK time. Also, the classes in the States, Tuesday through Friday. So Tuesday, you got the Brotherhood class. Wednesday, the Law class. Thursday, the Scripture Breakdown class. And then Friday, the Lashon Kodash, which is the Hebrew tongue. Then Saturday, the Sabbath service. Those come on midnight in this our UK time. So it comes on midnight UK time. Just, if you're on Facebook, you got access to pretty much all of them, to be fair. Yeah, you got access to pretty much all of them. Also, check out the classes here. Monday, we got the history class. Wednesday, the law class. Thursday, the scripture breakdown class. Feel free to comment down to them as well. 394 Lodge Road and so forth. And today we're going to talk about your idols have no life in them, because tons of people put their trust in idols, man. Tons of people put their trust in idols and worshiping all these silly little things that can't save them. Just give me 1 second to look here. No, that one don't want to work. So look. All right, no sweat. Let's go to. So we're going to start off with Exodus chapter 20 and verse 1, which is what everyone knows this one because it's the 10 Commandments. So they call it. Most Christians think there's only 10 laws, and you must only keep 10 laws in the Bible, when you have to keep all 600 and so forth, man. All of them. The 10 laws is the 10 in Exodus, the 20th chapter, is just the summary. But all throughout, you'll find all the other laws, man. All throughout Exodus, all the way to Deuteronomy, you'll find all the other laws of the do's and the don't do's. But what Christians do is hold on to these 10 close to their heart, and they don't even keep these 10. They don't even keep these 10, man. Christians hold on to these 10, and what do? They don't remember the Sabbath day, they covet, they commit adultery, They worship idols. They celebrate Christmas, Easter, their birthdays, which means they're putting another god before the Most High, man. So even the 10 that they claim that they're supposed to keep, they don't even keep them. So when you're dealing with a Christian, you don't even need to go to all the other laws and say, so what about this? You can just cut him right in this scripture, man. You can cut him right in this chapter. You know why? Because they don't keep so-called none of the 10 commandments that they claim they're only supposed to keep. They don't even keep one of them. You're lucky if they keep one of them. The only one they probably do keep is actually they have abortions as well, so they don't even keep that one. So now they don't keep none of them. But we're going to go to Exodus chapter 20 and verse 1. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Now, it says out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, because that's where it was, man. Egypt means what? Egypt means bondage, man. That's where we was. We was slaves, same like we're slaves today. And the Lord delivered us out of that slavery. Everyone's read the Exodus story, how we was slaves, how we was being treated, how we was being killed, how we was being worked to death, how we was slaves to the Egyptians. There was oppressing us. How we was oppressed, man. And the Lord delivered us out of that. Now, could an idol deliver you out of that? No, man. These idols that you're worshiping can't deliver you out of that. You know why? Because they ain't got no life in them and they ain't living, man. Them idols, you have to carry them. Them idols, you have to pick them up, man. Them idols can't do nothing unless you move them. Them idols can't eat, can't talk, can't see. All of these things, man. All of those things that you want this idol to do, you have to do it. If you want this idol to go from A to B, you have to carry it yourself. You have to pick it up and move it from A to B. So how are you expecting an idol to take you out of slavery? An idol can't take you out of slavery, man. But the God of the Bible can. You know why? Because He's the living God, man. That can see, that can hear, that can move, man. That created everything you see. Whereas these idols, you had to make these idols yourself. What did you have to do? Create them. You had to what? Get a piece of gold and melt it down into a Christian cross. You had to what? Get a stone and move the stone from there to there. And guess what? If no one moves that stone for 1,000 years, it will still be there in 1,000 years, man, because it can't move, it can't eat, it can't do nothing. But the Lord can move, and the Lord delivered us out of bondage. So while you're serving all these other gods, you're giving away the Lord's glory, man. You're meant to praise the Lord for Him delivering you out of Egypt, for Him delivering you out of slavery and the conditions that we wasn't in the past, or them slaveries that we was in. Because Egypt wasn't the only time we was in slavery. If you read in the book of Judges, it would tell you every time we started worshiping idols, a nation would come and take us. We would cry, pray to the Lord. Then they would raise up saviors to come and deliver us, man. Your idol can't be a savior. Your idol can't save you, man. Your idol can't move, man. Your idol's got no life in it. It can't do nothing. It says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. It says, thou shalt have no other gods before me, man. Meaning what? You can't put nothing before God. If you're celebrating birthdays, guess what? You're putting yourself up as a God before the Most High, man. You're celebrating Christmas. You're putting all these other stuff up, man, before God. That's what you're doing. If you're doing all these things, you're having another God before Him. If you're doing whatever you like, you're putting another God before Him, man. God's gave you laws, man, and you have to keep them. If you don't keep God's laws, that's you doing what? Putting another God before Him, man. If you ain't obeying God, obviously you're obeying something else and putting something else before Him, man. That's why it's very important to obey God, man. Same like people say, obey your parents. Obey God, man. If you choose to obey anybody other than God, you're putting them before Him, man. You're basically saying what they say matters more than what He's saying. What you're saying is, I don't give a damn about what He's saying. I'm going to do what this person's saying, man. That's you putting another God before Him. It says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. It says, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, man. It says, thou shalt not make to thee any graven image. Meaning what? An image that you sculpt up yourself, man. An image that you carve out and you like it and whatnot. Like in Egypt, they had many graven images. They had owls, All through Greek mythology, they got statues, they got all of these things. All these other nations, they believe in idols, man. They make them and say, "Oh, this is a god." Down there in India, what do they do? There'll be some damn East Indian with a disability. There'll be an East Indian with a disability, and what do they say? They say, "Oh, this is God." They'll have they'll have some damn East Indian that can't even walk properly. He's all bowed legs. His legs is all bent. Can't even stand up. Can't even see. Hardly got any vision. And they say, "Oh, this is a god. This is a god." No, man. That's some East Indian kid with a disability. It's not a god. But they will tell you, "Oh, this is a god. This is a god." That's a damn lie, man. It ain't no god. And that lets you know how all these other nations is simple. These East Indians is simple. They worship everything, man. They have a million different gods for different things. Like the Greeks had what? Zeus was what? They say Zeus was what? The god of the what? The rain, the storm, the thunder, all of those things. That's what they tell you, man. They tell you all of that nonsense. Then they tell you that the Egyptian our god was the what? The god of fortune and the god of knowledge. So with them, they have a different god for everything than what? They got another god which is the god of money. They got another god which is the god of harvest, which is the god of this, the god of that, all of those things, man. And they have idols and say this is the god of such and such. Listen, with everybody outside of the truth, every year they'll be believing in they'll add a new god to their resume, man. Every year they're gonna add a new idol to their resume, a new statue to their resume. Whereas the Lord said, "I am the Lord that changed not, man." The Lord ain't. You listen. The God of the Bible ain't attached to no idol. There's no idol attached to him. Whereas all these other so-called gods that people call gods, there's idols attached to them. Christianity, what? There's idols attached to it. Hinduism, there's idols attached to it. Rastafarianism, there's idols attached to it. Greek mythology, there's idols attached to it. Islam, there's idols attached to it. All these other religions have an idol attached to it. What the Egyptians believe, what? There's idols attached to it. What the Africans worship, there's idols attached to it. All these religions have an idol attached to it, man. An idol which they've made with their own hands, and they've just passed it down over time, saying, "Yeah, this is the blah 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 blah." Africans believe what? You bang drums, and this is what they said. This is what I heard some nonsense the other day. They bang drums and something that connects with something and blah 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 blah. Some nonsense, and they believe what? Burning things gets rid of demons and all these horror movies. You see all these horror movies you watch. There's people that actually believe those things are real, man. Listen, it's a movie, man. People actually believe in all this weird stuff. Whereas if you just get in class, you would understand there's no gray area with the Bible, man. There's no gray area with the Bible. You understand what? There's no such thing as what? This God of the crops, which is an owl. This God, which is half human, half elephant. The Indians, the Sikhs, it's the Sikhs or the Hindus. They don't even eat. They don't even eat cows, man. You know why? Because they worship cows. They worship animals, man. God gave us these animals for us, for these animals to serve us. God gave us certain meats that are clean, man, that we can eat. And guess what they've gone and done? Started worshiping the cow, man. The Lord gave us that to what? Have steak, have beef burgers. And they've started worshiping the cow, started worshiping all these animals, started worshiping elephants. Listen, man, we ain't supposed to be doing those things. It's against God to do those things, man. And then what? God gave us the sun and the moon for those things to serve us, man. For us to look at them, to know the seasons and the times. Guess what happened? People started worshiping the sun, started worshiping the moon, started worshiping everything, man. We ain't supposed to worship those things. Let me carry on. It says, "Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above." So you ain't meant to make anything of any likeness which is in the heavens above, man. Any likeness. And what do they do? What's the heavens above the skies? So what do people do? Make eagles. Say, "Oh yeah, we believe in the eagle because this is the god of whatever they say. It's the god of." Owls now. because they say, oh, this owl, this is the god of knowledge, this is the god of money. Listen, man, if you want knowledge, you'll be reading the Bible. How are you getting knowledge off a owl that can't even talk, man? How are you getting knowledge off an elephant that can't even talk, man? An elephant that can't even talk. Listen, even our oppressor don't even worship these elephants. If the if these elephants was God, wouldn't they be able to stop our oppressor from trophy hunting them? Wouldn't they be able to stop this devil from what going and shooting them for their tusks and for their horns and for everything? If there was God, wouldn't they be able to stop it? The reason they can't stop it, man, is because they ain't God, man. And you should know that they ain't God. Do you know how simple that is? Worshipping an animal, saying, "Oh, this is God." Listen, that's the dumbest thing ever, man. So you mean to tell me this animal's God, and it gave you more it gave you more attributes than itself. So basically, this elephant's meant to be God, but it gave you more attributes than itself. This wooden plank is meant to be God, but it gave you more attributes than itself. Listen, that's the dumbest thing ever, man. It don't make no sense. We need to stop worshiping idols because once upon a time we wasn't doing that, man. We worshipped God and God only. But over time, what happens? You go into slavery, your back gets whipped, religion gets forced on you, other people's beliefs gets forced on you, and then guess what happens? The first people didn't want to accept it, but they've been beat so much that they accept it. Then what happens? They die off. Then the kids after them, they just think it's the right thing to follow, man. And that's how most of us became Christian. Most of us became Christian by what? By the sword, man, and by whips, by getting our backs beat, man, in slavery. We became Christian that way. And then we've been Christian for so long that all these kids being born nowadays and a few generations before, they think Christianity is the right way, man. They think Christianity is the way to heaven. They think Christianity is the way to the pearly gates. That's what they believe. They don't see nothing outside of that. They see Christianity as the only way. It's right. It's this. God's with Christianity. Jesus Christ has blonde hair and blue eyes. That's what they believe. That's what they believe. And most of them, you can't tell them nothing, man. You can't tell them nothing. Most of them do what? Have the cross on their neck, which was just what a Roman way of execution. They think that what the cross is something so deep. They think that it's so spiritual. Like they think that cross that they have around their neck is so spiritual, and they believe that when someone who they perceive as evil comes, they just hold it like that. They believe they just hold it like that. Like in these vampire movies, you hold it like that, and the person's scared of the cross because they think that cross is so powerful, and it has powers, and it's a symbol of God, and yeah, and most of them kiss it and bow down to it. All of those things, man. ask you, ask your grandma. Your grandma actually believes these things, man. Your grandma actually believes these things. That her putting that cross in her bedroom at night time, it wards away demons. It wards away dark forces. They believe that they can have I can't remember what they put in there, but if you're a Benjamin, you probably know your grandma probably done it. They have like a box. I can't remember what they put in there, and they open it and they believe it's a demon catcher. Listen, man, all of that is nonsense. All those things is things that we've learned along the way here. Those are things that we've learned along the way here, man. They think, oh, that's a demon catcher. Listen, do you know what a demon is? A demon is what? Smoking cigarettes, man. Having sex with whores, taking drugs, being bipolar, having all kinds of illness. That's what a demon is, man. A demon ain't something you just take the lid off and it jumps in the jar. All of this, oh, I need to and I can't remember there's something that black people buy for their house. What's it called? HOs. I can't remember what the name of it is. Can't remember what the name of it is. Some nonsense anyway. They believe, oh, that blesses the house and so forth. They believe they must bring what? A Catholic priest around to bless the house. And nah, man, that Catholic priest comes around, man, and he molests your kids, man. You're calling him around to bless your house. And he says to you, don't worry, wait downstairs. He's going to go upstairs and sort it. And he's upstairs molesting your kids, man. Meanwhile, you're downstairs thinking this man's getting rid of demons in the house. He ain't getting rid of nothing, man. He's just molesting your kids and you give him a paycheck for it, man. That's what you do. Idols is nonsense, man. Idols is just, idols do nothing, man. They don't move, they don't talk, they don't walk. So worshipping them is the dumbest thing ever. But let me read on. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above or that is in the earth beneath. That is in the earth beneath, meaning what? Fishes and so forth. There's tons of people that like to worship fish. Oh, look at this fish. This fish is Dagon. This is. I'm sure them. Was it the Hittites? I can't remember who it was. One of them African nations. Their god was a fish. The god Dagon and whatnot. Listen, man. How are you worshiping a fish when God gave us dominion over these animals and the fish? God said, "You see, fish with fins and scales. That's food, man. You ain't supposed to worship those things. It's food. The only thing you're supposed to do is take that, cook it up, season it up, man, and eat it, man. That's what you're supposed to do with that. You ain't supposed to worship it. You ain't supposed to make an idol out of it and bow down to it and pray to it and go on your knees and say, give me blessings. Oh, you're the God of fortune. Bless me and so forth. That's what heathens do. You know why? Because the Lord ain't with the heathens and he didn't give them no understanding. And the Lord is only our God. So he said we have to be wiser than the nations, man. The Bible also says what? The heathens are meant to say, which is a nation so wise that has God so nigh unto them? That nation's supposed to be us. Well, guess what? Now we're lost in Islam, man. Now we're lost in the mosque. Talking about, oh, you have to put your right foot forward first. Now we're lost in the mosque. Talking about you can't go through the back door. You have to go through the you can't go through the back door of your house. You have to go through the front of your house. We lost in these garbage religions, man. And we need to come out of these garbage religions. And I'm gonna tell you straight up, man. Most black people is in these religions because what? There's no laws to them. You don't have to change nothing about your life. In order for you to be a Christian, you can still be a homosexual, man. In order for you to be a Christian, you can still be a pedophile and a child molester and everything. In order for you to be a Muslim, you can what? Still be a rapist, man. You can still sell drugs. You can still be a criminal. You can still kill people. You can still rob, rape, and murder. So this is why most people join those religions, man, because it doesn't require you to change. But once you want to serve the God, the living God of the Bible, your life has to change. You can't no longer do those things you've done in the past. You can't no longer be a sinner, man. You can't no longer be evil. You can't no longer be wicked. You have to change your whole life. You have to become a new person. And for that, that's too much for some people. So what would they rather do? Be a coward and just stay in the Muslim mosque. Because they still want to sell drugs. What would they rather do? Stay in the Christian church because what? They still want to be a homosexual. They'd rather take the easy option, man. You know why those religions have so many members? Because that's the broad way, like the Bible says. It says the way to destruction is broad. And most people follow their friends and turn Muslim in jail. They go to jail and do what? Put on a kufi, talking about Ramadan Mubarak. And listen, man, all these people that claim the Muslims ain't even proper Muslims. You know why? Because they drink alcohol. I thought in Islam alcohol wasn't permitted. While these black Muslims that I know drink the most alcohol, man. You see them in the club buying the big bottles of Ciroc. I thought they wasn't allowed to listen to music. Most of these so-called gangster rappers is what? Is Muslim, man. But I thought Muslims wasn't allowed to listen to music. Listen, they don't even follow their they don't even follow their own religion properly, man. They don't even follow their own religion properly. So lucky other one, can you bring the mic closer? All right, no sweat. Let me know if you can hear me better. I've been having a bit of problems with the mic. Is that better? Just give me a 1 if you can hear me clearly. I'm not too sure what's going on with the mic today. It's been up and down. So lucky, give me 1 second. Let me just try sort this mic properly. Give me 1 second. All right, for what just if the mic starts to trip back out, just let me know. Where was we? Exodus 20 and it says, "Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them." Now that part's key. That part's key. It says, "Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them," meaning bow yourself down to them to worship. Because you got this fake Israelite group called the GOCC, which is so simple. They'll be like, "Oh, you can't have pictures. You can't have pictures on your wall because the Bible says you shouldn't have. You shouldn't have none of these things." But here it's giving you context. Says the whole context of what it said. Having let me read it from the top. It says, "Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them." That was the whole issue, man. Because people's making these things, having pictures, and bowing down themselves to them to worship them. They would bow down before it, man. They would praise it, give this tree all its praise. They would pray to this tree, man. They would pray to this cross. You see people kiss their Christian cross, they pick it up and they kiss it like it's a woman, man. Listen, them Christian men kiss that cross better than they kiss their woman, man. They kiss it better than they kiss their woman, and that's an idol. Says, "For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God." And God's a jealous power, man. He delivered you out of Egypt. He don't want you going saying, "Oh yeah, you see this golden calf? It took me out of Egypt." He don't want you going saying, Allah took me out of Egypt." He don't want you going and saying, "Oh, Caesar Borgia, he took me out of Egypt." The Lord don't want you doing that, man, because he's a jealous God. He wants all the credit, man. He done it. He took you out of Egypt. He's the reason you're here right now. And what? You're just going to turn your back and forget so quickly and go and what? Say Allah took you out of Egypt. Listen, man. Them Arabs hate black people, man. Them Arabs hate black people. This is why you become Muslim and they don't give you a job in none of their stores. They don't give you a job in none of their stores, man. They don't even consider you a real Muslim. This is why what? There's so many different sects in Islam, man. You got Salafi, you got what? Sunni, you got what's the next ones? Them weird ones that cut themselves, them weird ones that abuse themselves. Listen, man, their religion tells them to abuse themselves, man. You see them cutting their head open with knives, cutting themselves. Listen, they cut themselves to prove how much they believe in their God. How silly is that, man? You know how you prove how much you believe in God in here? By doing what he says, man. By keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments. That's how you show how you believe in God in here, man. That's how you show it, man. By keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments. You don't have to cut yourself with some knife. Oh yeah, they're called the Shias. That's what they call them, the Shias. I think most of those people from Iran, I think the Iranian Muslims, them ones are Shias. And then you have the Pakistanis and the Arabs who are Sunni. Then you have the blacks and the Somalians who are what? Salafi. And then when you see these black mosques, guess what? There's no Arabs in there with them, man. No Arabs in there with them. Because they know that black people ain't really Muslim. They know that black people ain't really Muslim. They know that you frauds and they look down on you. And every time you use these Arabic words, they look at you like, look at this dumb nigger thinking as an Arab. Do you know how silly it is when a black man uses Arabic words? A black man talking about inshallah. What the hell does that even mean? A black man talking about what other nonsense do they say? A black man talking about mashallah. Listen, do you know how dumb it sounds? I hear black people saying this nonsense, and I look at them like, how dumb do you have to be, man? How dumb do you have to be? Learning Arabic when the Arabs hate you, man. Learning Arabic when the Arabs hate everything about you. They don't even want you in their mosque with them. But you want to be down so much that you learn Arabic. And then once you become a Muslim, what do? You make sure them Arabs is your brothers now, and you look at a black man like he's not your brother. You look at a black sister like she's not your sister. You look at them like they're good for nothing. And this is what they say: if you're not Muslim, you're not my brother. Listen, man. You know what makes you brother? You know what makes you brother? By having the same father, man. And we have the same forefathers: Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man. You can't get away from your bloodline. I don't give a damn what religion you join. You can't not get away from your bloodline, man. No matter how, listen, I don't care how much of a Muslim you want to be. When you look in the mirror, you're still a black man, man. When you look in the mirror, you're still a black woman, man. No matter how far you try to run away from your bloodline, you're still a nigga like the rest of us, man. So it's only right all of us niggas come and dwell together, man, because we're brothers and sisters, instead of you trying to run off in some garbage religion, you trying to run off into some nonsense. Let me read on. It says, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God. And the Most High is telling you he's a jealous power, man. Meaning he ain't gonna take it lightly that you're giving his praise to somebody else. Let me go to Leviticus, the 26th chapter and the first verse. He ain't gonna be all smiles, you giving his praise to some idol, man. You giving his praise to some nonsense that you know damn well ain't delivered you. You know damn well ain't saved you, man. We're in Leviticus, the 26th chapter and the first verse. Leviticus chapter 26 and verse 1 says, ye shall make you no idols. Listen, man. This is in the law. He's saying, ye shall make you no idols. Ye shall make you no idols, man. No graven image. A graven image, man. Something you sculpt up. Neither rear you up a standing image, meaning something that you make that stands up, man. Neither shall you set up any image of stone in your land. That's Islam out the window. It says, neither shall you set up any image of stone in your land. Because why? The Lord had to tell us this, man, because he knows how simple we could get. He knows how simple we could get worshipping a stone. Lord said, don't set up no stone in our land to worship it, man. It says, neither shall you set up any image of stone in your land to bow down unto it. And what do they do in Islam? Bow down to this stone, man. They worship it. They fight to kiss it. They fight to touch it. What do? They go there and they got the pillars and they start to throw rocks at the pillars and say, oh yeah, the devil's in the pillar. And they're throwing stones all at it. And then the people at the front get stoned to death. And this is what they believe. If you die, this is what they say. If you die during the Hajj, you go straight to Jannah. Jannah. What the hell? You go straight to Jannah? That sounds stupid. Even the names they have, Jannah. Listen, it's some nonsense, man. To bow down unto it, for I am the Lord your God. Ye shall keep my Sabbath and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord. And we're meant to keep God's Sabbaths, man. And his Sabbaths is what? His high holy days and Saturdays, the seventh day of the week, man. You meant to remember those things, but no, we forgot. And guess what happens? Now everybody wants to do what? Go church on Sunday, talking about the praising God, talking about the singing Amazing Grace, the singing all these hymns. You have the man on the piano, all the women in the choir can't even sing anyway. They can't sing anyway, but they think they can. They're all up there singing hymns like they can't even sing when they can't sing at all, man. And then you have the men in there moving to the hymns. Listen, I used to be about what? 6, 7. My grandma forced me to go to church with her. And from then I knew that church, I knew it wasn't for me, man. I knew it wasn't for me. It was some nonsense. And then one time I can't remember, apparently I jumped on the table and I must have been telling everyone to F off, Salakia. I jumped on the table, must have been swearing at everyone. And then my grandma took me home and said to my mom, this boy's evil, he's never coming to church again. And that was the end of my church going. And thank the Lord, man. I'm glad I jumped on them tables swearing my head off, man. I had the spirit of the Lord with me from young, man. Had me jump on them tables and say, let everyone know this is garbage, man. Church was some nonsense. It's a place where you go to feel nice. It's a place to go where you know you've been evil all week, and then you want to hear a nice melody in your head which makes you feel better. It's a place where you've done so evil and you think you can go there and put a tenner on the collection plate and think, okay, God's forgot about the evil you done. You think you've just paid off God. You think You think this is like a fine? You think it's like a fine where you've just paid off God for all the evil you've done? All you women that committed adultery Saturday night after the club, and then you feel so bad Sunday morning. You put on your church hat, put on your fishnet tights and your heels, and then you go to church, and then you sing and dance, and then you think, okay, all the evil you done's gone away. Nah, man, it don't work like that, man. You shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord. If you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them, then I will give you rain in due season. The Lord said, if you keep his commandments, he will give you rain in due season. Not Zeus, man. The Greeks think Zeus gives them rain, man. The Greeks think Zeus gives them all of this season. The Lord said he will give you rain in due season if you keep his commandments, man. Meaning what? You ain't really gonna have famines, man. You're gonna be, if there's a famine, you're gonna be good. The Lord's gonna take care of you, man. But what? Nowadays they give all that credit to Zeus. Oh, Zeus is the god of the rain, the god of the crops, the god of this. They say he's the god of the thunder, the god of what's it called, man? Listen, man, you're giving all of God. God said he's a jealous God, and you're giving all of God's praise to the Greeks, man. Let me quickly hold that, but I'm gonna go back there. Let me just quickly get. Let me get Psalms 89 verse 8. These damn pages stuck together. The book of Psalms, chapter 89 and verse 8. Oh Lord God, now this is David talking. Oh Lord God of hosts, who is a strong Lord like unto thee? It's asking, who's strong like you, Lord, man? Who's strong like you? Ain't nobody strong like God, man. Says, all to thy faithfulness round about thee, thou rulest the raging of the sea. Says, God rules the raging of the sea, man. You see how the sea operates. God controls all of that, man. Says, when the waves thereof arise, thou stillest them. Says, when the waves arise, God keeps them still, man. Not Zeus. Not Zeus that you like to give all the credit to. All these typhoons, what do you like to do? Give the credit to someone else. These hurricanes, these storms. Listen, man. The Lord sends these things. The Lord sends these things, man. And when you see these things, what are you supposed to do? It's supposed to make you wake up and get in the truth, man. It's supposed to make you say, see, you know what? The Lord ain't playing, man. All these storms, all these tsunamis, all this thundering, this lightning. That should make you say, you know what? The Lord ain't playing no games, man. I better get in them classes, man. I better get in that school. It's supposed to make you say that, but what do? Give all the praise to the oppressor. Oh, you know it's him with the harp system. You know it's him with this. You know it's him with that. Listen, man. Nobody can't operate without the Lord allowing them to, man. Understand that first. Back to Leviticus, the 26th chapter. It says, then I will give you rain in due season, and the land yield her increase, and the trees yield and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. Meaning basically, our land would have been fertile. We would have grew, all our things would have grew, our fruits, everything we planted would have grew, man. The apples, the grapes, everything we planted would have grew, man. This is when we was in our own land. But obviously now we don't know about farming and so forth now. We don't know about agriculture no more. Because obviously we live in England and America where everything is GMO and you don't even know where your chicken comes from. All you know is you get it from the supermarket and it's robbery as hell. It looks all robbery. All you know is your lamb chops look all robbery. Like we don't know what it's like. We don't know what it's like to actually have our own farm and our own animals on there, our own sheep, our own goat, our own lambs. We don't know what a fresh curry goat tastes like, man. Obviously in the Caribbean, they've got that privilege where they have their own goats. We don't know what that's like, especially in England. We don't know what that's like, man. Why? Because obviously we're not in our own land, man. We're in our enemy's land. We're in our enemy's land. Why? Because we disobeyed God. We didn't want to serve him. We didn't want to keep his commandments. We wanted to what? Worship idols, worship statues. We wanted to smoke weed. We wanted to inject heroin. We wanted to be everything disgusting, man. We wanted to be everything God told us not to be. Verse 5, and your threshing shall reach unto the vintage, and the vintage shall reach unto the sowing time, and ye shall eat your bread to the full and dwell in your land safely. Meaning what? We was meant to have the best of everything, man. Everything that we was meant to have was meant to be the best of everything. You see them apples that you grow, they was going to be better than everybody else's apples on the face of the earth, man. You see your sheeps was going to be better than everybody else's, your goats, your land, your soil. Everything was going to be better than everybody else's, man. And it says, and ye shall dwell in your land safely. And if we served God, we would have been dwelling in our land safely. Meaning what? We ain't going to be getting shot by the policeman. We ain't going to be getting stabbed to death on the high street. We ain't going to be getting ran down and thrown in jail. We ain't going to be getting oppressed. We ain't going to be scared for our life. We won't be going through those things, man, if we just serve God. And God's telling us right here, if you serve me, your life will be good, man. But obviously, we didn't serve God. So our life has been so bad, man. Our life has been hell in this place. Our life has been disgusting in this place. This is a place where what? We're just getting murdered. We're just getting killed, murdered, thrown in jail. If you're tired of it, you need to serve God, man, so he can take us out of the situation. But if you like it, if you like being oppressed, just keep doing what you're doing, because what you're doing is clearly working. What you're doing is clearly working. If you like it, anyway. It says, and I will give peace in the land, and we ain't got no peace in this land. Tell me the last time when you've had some peace, man. Tell me the last time when you haven't been tired, man. Tell me the last time when you've had some peace, man, when you ain't had to worry about anything, when you ain't been stressed, when you ain't had to worry, man. Black people don't know what it's like to be stress-free. We don't know that feeling, man. You see, with us, if it ain't one thing, it's another. You see, with us, we'll be like, oh, I can't wait till payday. I'm so broke. Then when payday comes around, guess what? All these fines come through the post, these letters, something breaks that you have to replace. Then you say the same thing again. Oh, I'm so broke, man. Listen, when's the last time you've woke up and said, you know what? To hell with work, I ain't going. Listen, you can't do that, man, because you got bills to pay. You have to go to work, man. You don't want to go, but you have to go to work. And some manager, some scrawny little manager that you know couldn't tell you nothing outside of them doors. He's telling you you're not getting paid today because you came late. He's telling you he ain't giving you no overtime because you're not good at your job. He's telling you, you know what? You're sacked. He's telling you, you know what? Don't come back tomorrow, you're fired. Imagine this guy that's scared to death of you. He's able to talk to you like that in work, man. Every time he walks around, depending on where you work, every time he walks around, you're scared to death, man. You forget your tie to work. You have to hide from him the whole day because he's going to send you home because you ain't got your tie. Imagine living like that, man. That's what it's like living under these people, man. Because why? Because we didn't serve God. Imagine you've got targets to reach, and your boss says, if you don't reach these targets, we're going to have to dismiss you because you're not reaching your targets. How can you claim you've got peace, man, and you're living like that? How can you claim you've got peace and you can barely afford to put the central heating on, man, because it's too expensive. You can barely afford to flip the light switch, man, because it's too expensive. You can barely afford to get your kids a bus pass, man, because it's too expensive. How can you tell me you've got peace? You know why we ain't got peace? Because we ain't serving God, man. As long as we continue to not serve God, our life is going to be this hell. Let me read on. And I will give peace in the land, and ye shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid. It says we would lie down, man, and none shall make us afraid. Meaning what? You wouldn't even be running from them sirens, man. We wouldn't be running from them police sirens that we're running from. We wouldn't be trying to dodge the TV license, man. We wouldn't be trying to dodge the tax man and so forth. We wouldn't be trying to do all them things, man. And ye shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid. and I will rid evil beasts out of the land. Neither shall the Lord go through your land. The Lord said he would rid evil beasts out of our land, man. He would rid evil beasts out of our land. And it says, neither shall the sword go through your land. And the sword's going through our land, man. This sword's coming through our land, man. And this is why the this is why the death rate is so high. This is why in London, there's all these young kids being stabbed to death, man, because the Lord's going through our land. In Birmingham, all these shootings, why? Because the Lord's going through our land, because we ain't serving God. So the sword is going to continue to go through our land until we decide to serve God. It says, and ye shall chase your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword. And once upon a time, we would chase our enemies, man. We would chase them. We would chase them, man. They'll be scared to death of us. But now the roles have switched. They're chasing us. They're chasing us, man. They're putting us to flight when it was never meant to be that way. Because we ain't serving God, that's the way it's become. And 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall put 10,000 to flight. Just imagine, man. 5 of us would chase 100. 5 of us would chase 100, man. Whereas now, you got 2 police officers chasing about 100 black people, man. Just 2 police officers. 2 police officers that couldn't do a thing to you. And now they're putting the sirens and everyone's running for their life now. Everyone's running for their life. Our life was never supposed to be like this. But obviously, we wouldn't know any better because we've been born into a place where it's like this. So we just think it's normal. Just look at it like this. Imagine there's an animal that's out there in the world. Imagine there's an animal that's out there in the wild, living its life, doing whatever. And then one day it gets captured and brought to a zoo. When you go to the zoo, you see those animals look depressed. So the animal's going to be depressed. Why is it going to be depressed? Because it knows that it's not used to living like this. It's not used to being confined in this little space. So that animal's going to be depressed the rest of its life. That animal's going to have a kid. Then that animal has a kid. Then when that one has a next kid, that animal's just going to be like, this is my life, just to be confined in this one place. I mean, it's always been like this for me, just to be confined in that one place. So they don't know how it used to be before it was like this. Same like us. We don't know how life used to be before it was like this. The only reason we know how life used to be before this is because we know the Bible. But if we didn't know the Bible, we wouldn't know. If we didn't know the Bible, we wouldn't know. We would just think this is life where I'm at the bottom of the face of the earth. We oppressed. Everyone hates us. We would just think it's normal for everyone to hate us. We would just think it's normal for us to be oppressed. We would just think it's normal for us to kill each other. But when you read history and the Bible, you realize we wasn't living like this before. This way of life wasn't normal, man. This way of life wasn't normal. But people outside of the truth, everything that they see, they just see it as this is normal when it's not normal. It says, and 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall put 10,000 to flight, and your enemies shall fall before you by the sword. It says, and your enemies shall fall before you by the sword, man. We was meant to chase them down, man, and put them to death. But now it's the other way around, man. They're chasing us and putting us to death. It says, for I will have respect unto you and make you fruitful and multiply you and establish my covenant with you. And the Lord said, you have respect unto us, man, and make us fruitful and make us multiply and so forth. And out here we're dying when really we should be multiplying, man. But instead we're dying. And ye shall eat old store and bring forth the old because of the new. And listen, man, we meant to have old and new. And listen, we meant to have everything, man. You see, everything you see, we meant to have it, the best of it, everything. The Lord was, you know how you have that favorite child and you give them everything. We, the Lord, listen, we, the Lord's child, man. You say you give your kids everything. We, the Lord's child, and the Lord wanted to give us everything. But guess what happened? Our Father wanted to give us everything, but we never wanted to acknowledge him. We wanted to call some next man father. Imagine you give your kids everything, and then they go and say, oh yeah, Roger gave us this. Roger gave us this, and you're the father thinking, who the hell's Roger? They're giving all the glory that they should give to you to somebody else, man. And that's what we did with God. All the glory we should have gave to God, we gave it to someone else, man. We go and give it to a stone. We go and give it to a rock. We go and give it to some nonsense. And I will set my tabernacle among you, and my soul shall not abhor you. Abhor means to hate. The Lord said his soul will not abhor us, man, if we do the right thing. And I will walk among you, and I will be your God, and ye shall be my people. And he said he will walk among us, man, meaning with us. Every step we take, God will take that step with us, man. God would lead our paths, man. He would walk with us, man. He would direct our paths, man. He would walk with us, man. He would be with us. We wouldn't walk into no danger, you know why? Because the Lord would be with us. Our enemies couldn't overtake us, because why? The Lord would be walking with us, man. And they don't want it with the Lord, man. And it tells you that in the book of I can't remember, Jude 5:20, where it says, my Lord and Governor, if these people serve their God, then we can't overthrow them. But if they disobey their God, then we can overthrow them. Because if we ain't walking with God, serving him, the Lord ain't going to walk with us. And then guess what happens? That gives the heathens every opportunity to come in and overthrow us, man. That gives the heathens every opportunity to come in and rule over us. That gives them every opportunity to enslave us, to shoot us in the streets, to fire us from a slavery, to treat us like garbage, to have us in slavery, to throw us in jail, man. That's what not serving God gets us. Not serving God gets us in that position. Let me read on. And I will walk among you, and will be your God, and ye shall be my people. I am the Lord your God, which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt, that you should not be their bondmen. And the Lord brought us out of Egypt, you know why? Because he didn't want us to be nobody's slave, man. He didn't want us to be nobody's slave, man. He didn't want us working for nobody, man. He didn't want us working for nobody, doing what they say, man. He didn't want us doing none of that, man. The Lord didn't want us doing that, man. That's why he delivered us out of Egypt. Because we his children, man. He said, I don't want my children working for these heathens, man. I don't want my children oppressed, whipped, enslaved. And the Lord destroyed them for how they treated us. And after the Lord destroyed them, guess what we went and did? Wanted to make a golden calf and said, this golden calf delivered us out of Egypt. We went and said, this golden calf delivered us out of Egypt. So now do you see why the Lord's pissed off with us? Excuse my French. Because we giving away his glory, man. When we meant to praise God, we giving it to someone else. And broken the bands of your yoke and made you go upright. And when he says he's broken the bands of your yoke, the yoke is what? Basically, a yoke is basically something around your neck. A yoke is what would put on you in slavery. The Lord said he broke the bands of our yoke, meaning he took us out of slavery, meaning he took them chains off us. He took us out of captivity. He broke the bands of our yoke. That's what that means. And made you go upright. But if ye will not hearken unto me, now the Lord told us what he done for us. Now he's telling us, but if ye will not hearken unto me and will not do all these commandments, so the Lord's saying, if you don't listen to me and you don't do all these commandments, and if ye shall despise my statutes, or if your soul abhor my judgments, so that ye will not do all my commandments, but that ye break my covenant. And listen, man, we broke God's covenant. We don't keep that covenant at all. We broke his covenant, man. We've abhorred his statutes. We've hated them. We've hated his judgments. God says, don't eat pork. What do we do? Kiss our teeth like, I'm eating pork, man. It's good. God's told us what? Don't interracial marriage. We'll be like, nah, I like what I like. I'm going to get that woman. We've hated God's judgments, man, and his statutes. Everything God's told us not to do, we've decided, you know what? We're going to go and do it, man. I also will do this unto you. I will even appoint over you terror. Listen, man. That's what we're going through right now. Terror, man. We being terrorized on this earth. We being terrorized on this earth, man. What do you think police brutality is, man? That's terrorism, man. What do you think slavery is, man? That's terrorism. What do you think you being scared night and day? That's terrorism, man. What do you think your kids being taken away from you and given to another plantation? That's terrorism, man. What do you think picking cotton is? What do you think picking cotton is? Sugar cane, tobacco for a nation that's benefiting from it, and you ain't getting a dime out of it, man. At the end of it, you're just getting your back whipped because you didn't pick enough. That's terrorism, man. Everything the Lord said he would do if we don't serve him, we're currently going through. We're going through it right now. I also do this unto you, or even appoint over you terror, consumption, and the burning ague that shall consume the eyes and cause sorrow of heart. And listen, man, all these things is what? Diseases and whatnot, and sorrow of heart. Sorrow of heart could be what? Things like depression, things like anxiety, things like PTSD. We go through all these things, man. We've been depressed for so long that we don't even know that we're depressed. We've been depressed for so long that depression for black people has just become normal. We've been oppressed for so long that oppression for black people has just become normal. We've been killed by our oppressors for so long that us being killed has just become normal. That now there's a time frame on our life that black males barely make it past 25. And we're comfortable with that, man. If we make it past 25, we'll be like, you know what? I made it to 25 and we're proud of that. Meanwhile, everybody else on the face of the earth, if we can only make it to 25, why do they have the rights to make it to 90? Why do they have the rights to make it to 80? But we trying to survive till 25, man. Why? And to us, that's normal. That only us on the face of the earth look at life like this, like, well, I should have been dead by 25. I've made it. I guess that's progress. But everybody else gets to live till 80. Everybody else gets to live to see their grandkids, great grandkids. But we die while our women's ain't even gave birth to our kids, man, or still pregnant, or we got a 1-year-old or 2-year-old, and the people look at it like that's normal. Listen, man, that ain't normal. But society tells us that we meant to die by the time we're 25. Society tells us that you're meant to go to jail. Society tells us that you're meant to be drug dealers. You're meant to be criminals. You're meant to be racial profiled. You're meant to be thrown in jail. Society tells us that we're animals, that we're good for nothing. And we've been told these things for so long that we've started to believe it, man. We've been told these things for so long that it's just become normal. And we don't see how it's not normal. We just see it as, well, the life of a black man. This is the life of a black man. That's how we see it. So it's, and cause sorrow of heart. And ye shall sow your seed. And ye shall sow your seed in vain. Meaning what? Everything you plant and whatnot, it's going to be worthless. For your enemy shall eat it. Meaning what? Everything you do is in vain. All that cotton we picked. For us, it's in vain because we didn't benefit from it. For us, we just sold it for no reason because we ain't benefiting from it. All that sugarcane, they benefited from it, not us. All that cotton, they benefited from us, not us. All that cotton, they benefited from it, man. And the cheek of it, man. You see these cotton t-shirts today? All this cotton that they got today, they profited from slavery, man. Listen, anybody that any of our oppressors that even wear a cotton t-shirt, that's from the cotton that we picked, man. Anybody that's a non-Israelite that puts sugar in their coffee, my ancestors had to pick your coffee in order for you to have a nice cup of tea, man. For you to have a nice cup of coffee, my ancestors had to pick them coffee beans. In order for you to put 2 sugars in that cup of coffee, my ancestors had to cut sugar cane down in the cane fields, man, in order for you to enjoy your sugar and your coffee. And then they say that we lazy. Meanwhile, they're the lazy ones sitting on the sofa drinking coffee with extra sugars, man. You see all the extra sugar you put in your coffee? Understand this, man. My people had to work extra hours on the cane field, man. You see that strong coffee where you put extra coffee in the cup? My ancestors had to work extra time on that cane field, man. You see that extra thick cotton jumper you got? My people had to put in extra time on the cotton field, man. But these nations, other nations don't care about that. They don't care about that, man. But we had to do all of that. And all of that, we done it in vain, man. And they benefited from it. We didn't benefit from it. Say, sow your seed in vain, for your enemy shall eat it. And there you go, man. Our enemies eat up everything, man. Everything that we did, they benefited from it. Everything. Every last penny they benefited from. And I will set my face against you, and ye shall be slain before your enemies. And because we disobeyed God, he set his face against us, man. Instead of God walking with us, he said, you know what? I'm going to be against you, man. I'm going to be an adversary to you because what? You want to serve other gods? All right, then. When I go to war with you, see if them other gods can help you. See if them other gods can save you. That's basically saying. The Lord saying, when I go to war with you, let's see if Allah can save you. Let's see if Krishna can save you. Let's see if Celeste can save you. And listen, man, you fight in a losing battle. You're never gonna win. It's only right you come and serve the only God, man, the true God, the God of the Bible. Slain before your enemies. They that hate you shall reign over you, and ye shall flee when none pursueth you. And if ye will not, yet for all this hearken unto me, then I will punish you 7 times more for your sins. And the Lord saying, the longer you refuse to listen to him, he's going to punish you 7 times more. The more you refuse to rebel, the more you refuse to go against him, he's going to punish you 7 times more for your sins, man. Meaning your punishment's going to get worse and worse the longer you don't listen. So I think it's about time we start listening. And I will break the pride of your power, and I will make your heaven as iron and your earth as brass. And that right there just means hard times all around, man. Meaning everything is going to be hard times, man. Your heaven as iron and your earth as brass. No matter where you go on this earth, hard times. No matter what you try to do, hard times. Everything is going to be hard times, man. That's what that's talking about. Um, from there, we're going to go to Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 1. The famous Christmas scripture. Give me 1 second. The book of Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. So right here, the Lord's letting you know he's only speaking to the house of Israel, man. He ain't speaking to everybody. He ain't speaking to the whole world. He's only speaking to the house of Israel, man. He's only speaking to black and Hispanics, man. Says, hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Says, thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. Says, learn not the way of the heathen. Because we've been learning the way of the heathens for too long. Everything that they do, we incorporate it into our life, man. Everything that they do, we incorporate it. And this is why amongst Caribbeans, there's this whole 9-night thing, which obviously what we learned that in West Africa. They learned that from Africans. That was their thing, to dance around and buffoon like a fool and all of those things. We learned all of those things, man. We learned the way of the heathen. That's what we do. And now we learn the way of the heathen so much that what? A pavement, if a pavement's got a crack on it, we don't want to walk on it because it's bad luck. Walking under one of those things, them things, walking under it, we don't want to walk under that now because what? That's bad luck. Walking on 3 drain pipes, we don't want to walk on it because what? That's bad luck. We don't want to break a mirror now because what? You break a mirror, you have 7 years bad luck. That's us learning the way of the heathens, man. Believing all of this nonsense. All of those things is lie, man. Walk under it, walk on it, break a mirror, man. It don't make a difference, man. That don't mean nothing. You got bigger problems than you breaking the mirror, man. The Lord would rather you not smoke weed. The Lord would rather you not eat pork. People talking about walking on 3 drain pipes is bad luck. The Lord would rather you what? Not walk to the brothel. The Lord would rather you what? Not walk to the strip club. The Lord would rather you make sure you handle that, man, before you start worrying about walking on 3 drains pipes, before you start worrying about breaking a mirror and so forth. Listen, man, all of those things is things that we learned from the heathen. All them things is things that we learned in slavery, man. You won't find those things nowhere in the Bible. All those things is myths and it's nonsense and it's superstitious. And we don't need to be superstitious because we serve God, man. There's no gray areas with the Bible. There's no ifs or buts. There's none of this nonsense. Oh, you get bad luck for walking under this. You get this for doing. Listen, That's all nonsense we learned in slavery from the heathens, man. Let me carry on. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. They get dismayed and start worshiping the moon and getting scared and saying, oh, this is going to happen. The world's going to end in blah, 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 because there was a blood moon, and this happens when there's a blood moon and blah, 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 all of that nonsense. Don't be dismayed at the signs of heaven, man. Don't be dismayed at the signs of heaven, because they worship the stars, man. They worship the stars. They stand there with their telescope and look up and say, that star there means blah, blah, blah. There's follow zodiac signs. The follow zodiac signs. They'll be like, oh, that person's born in June. Me and that person won't get on because he's born in June. So if zodiac signs are true, you mean to tell me there's only 12 types of people in the world? That's a damn lie, man. That's a damn lie, man. Zodiac signs is nonsense. They change every week. And people say, oh, I needed to read that horoscope. It's what I needed to hear. It's nonsense, man. Horoscopes is garbage. It's just silly. It's just silly things that they write in a book and game you up to believe. And people actually believe it, man. It's the dumbest thing ever. And the heathens believe those things. And because we follow the heathens, guess what? We start to believe it too when we're not supposed to. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them, for the customs of the people are vain. It says the customs of the people are vain, meaning their culture and what they follow is vain, man. This right here is going into the Christmas tree, but everybody else's customs is vain. Worshipping a rock is vain. Sticking your head in there and kissing a rock is vain. Talking about, oh yeah, you need to go to Mecca before you die is vain. Having a Christian cross around your neck and kissing it every second is vain. Believing Selassie, listen, what I don't understand is this. So Rastafarians read the Bible. They read the Bible, but everywhere they see Jesus, they replace it with Selassie. It don't say Selassie in here. How the hell are you putting Selassie's name in here when Selassie's name ain't in here? How are you substituting the name in here saying this man that is mentioned in here, it's not on about that man, it's on about this man. Listen, that's some made up nonsense. Selassie is nowhere in this Bible, man. First of all, Selassie is an Ethiopian, man. He ain't one of the children of Israel. He's a Hamite, man. He's a Hamite. He's an Ethiopian, man. He's like a Somalian, man. He ain't nothing to do with us. But resters worship him and say, oh, a black king coming from the east. A black king coming from the east. Listen, man. Selassie is meant to be God, but he had to run to the Queen of England for help when he was running from the French. He went into hiding, man. He went into exile, and he came to England for help, man. So you mean to tell me your God needed help from the Queen of England, which should let you know he ain't no God, man. Selassie died in the toilet, man. Selassie died in the toilet. I swear they found his bones under the toilet. Selassie was about 4 foot tall, man. And he's meant to be God. Listen, man. He was just some Ethiopian king. He was just some Ethiopian king, man. Not even your king, the king of the Ethiopians, man. You have dreadlocks, and Selassie didn't have dreads. You smoke weed, and Selassie didn't smoke weed. Which lets you know Rastafarianism is garbage. Rastafarianism is a combination of what? Hinduism, Sikhism, and a bit of Ethiopian religion. And then they try and read the Bible and try and make it correlate when it don't, man. This Bible says nothing shall want her mate, man. Meaning you don't need to add nothing to this Bible. You don't need to try and mix nothing with this Bible. You don't need to try and add Selassie's autobiography with this Bible. It doesn't go with this Bible, man. Selassie's autobiography goes in the bin somewhere, man. You trying to read the book of what is it now? What's that book called now? The Kebra and the Guest. You trying to read the Kebra and the Guest, talking about Menelik was Solomon's son. Talking about Menelik, what's his name? Talking about Menelik was Solomon's son, and then from Menelik all the way down comes Selassie. Listen, man, that don't make no sense. That don't make no sense, man. Show me in here where it says Solomon had sex with Sheba. Solomon didn't have sex with Sheba, man. Trying to make up lies, trying to add Selassie in here. You just tried to tie him to the Bible so people would accept him. That's what they tried to do. They just tried to tie him to the Bible so people would accept him, man. That's all that was. But, anyway, let me go off. I don't want to rant on too long. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cut of a tree out of the forest. For one cut of a tree out of the forest. This right here is talking about what? The Christmas tree, man. This right here is talking about the Christmas tree. Back then, they would actually get a tree out of the forest. Nowadays, they get some cheap version from Argos for like a tenner. They get a cheap version from Argos for like a tenner that comes on the stand. They get some tinsel. Yeah, they, they get some tinsel and some foil and some lights and some bows, some red ones and some gold ones, and they decorate the tree. And every year, what do they do? Make their kids decorate the Christmas tree. Say, oh, come and decorate the Christmas tree. Listen, man, it's some nonsense, man. You're decorating the Christmas tree, but your house ain't even decorated, man. How you decorating the Christmas tree and your house ain't even decorated? How you got no electric, but you want to put lights on the Christmas tree, which is burning all your electric, man? How you got no heating, but you want to put lights on the Christmas tree? Black people need to get their priorities together, man. We need to get our priorities together and stop following the way of the heathen, man. We ain't got no gas in our house, but then what? We want to put up a Christmas tree. We ain't paid the rent, but we want to take the rent money and do what? Buy Christmas presents. Oh, my son needs a bike. I'm gonna buy him a bike. My son needs a bike. I'm gonna buy him a bike. That's what we do, man. All of that nonsense. We ain't supposed to do that, man. Buying Christmas presents. Listen, your son can get a bike any other time of the year. Your daughter can get a doll any other time of the year. Because obviously that's what people seem to buy their kids. Or the son gets a bike, the daughter gets a doll, the older kids. Obviously, if you had Caribbean grandparents, they'd buy you a pair of boxers. The Christmas presents weren't even worth celebrating Christmas for. The Christmas presents were so garbage, weren't even worth celebrating, man. Or you're lucky if you get a remote control car. Listen, Christmas is garbage, man. The way the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cut of a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workman with the axe, they deck it with silver and with gold. That's like your tinsel and whatnot. They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not. So back then they would get hammers and fasten it down. This was before they had the stand. And you know why they had to fasten it down? Because this tree that they was worshipping couldn't stand up by itself. So if they didn't fasten it, it would fall over. So how are you worshipping something that would fall over if you don't fasten it with nails? How are you worshipping something that you need to fasten so it don't fall over, man? Which is the dumbest thing ever. They deck it with they are upright as the palm tree, and the upright as the palm tree means the upright, but speak not. And these trees don't speak. Your idols don't speak. You be speaking to your idols all day, they don't speak back. That Christian cross on your neck, you've asked it questions and you're still waiting for an answer. They don't speak back, man. Whereas, how does the Lord speak in the Bible? By his prophets, man. The Lord speaks back to you by his prophets, man. That's how the Lord speaks. Back in ancient times, they would call them a seer, which means a prophet. It says they must needs be born. So all them idols you worship, they must needs be born, meaning what? Born means to be carried. Meaning if you want it to go from A to B, you have to pick it up. You want it to go from Birmingham to London, you have to put it in the car. It can't go by itself. It needs to be born, man. It has to be carried because they cannot go. So how are you worshiping something that cannot go? Something that you have to, listen, you have to do everything in order for that thing to move. So how can you be worshiping that thing, man? How can you be bowing down to that thing when you can do more than that thing, man? When you can do more than what you're bowing down to, how does that make sense? You have power over the thing that you're worshiping. You have power over that because you can pick it up and you can pull it down. That can't move by itself, man. So how are you worshiping an idol, man? Say it's born because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them. And back in the days, people was afraid of Christmas trees because there was a myth that, if you don't put no presents under the trees and whatnot, or gifts or whatever, Nimrod spirits in the evergreen tree. So the guy evergreen tree and stays evergreen because Nimrod's still alive, and Nimrod's spirit will haunt you if you don't put no gifts on it. So the Lord's saying right here, don't be dismayed. It's foolishness. Nimrod's dead, man. Nimrod's dead. Nimrod's a skeleton, man. Nimrod ain't alive, man. Nimrod's dead somewhere. Nimrod's dead somewhere in Africa, a skeleton. No flesh on him. He's a skeleton buried somewhere. Who knows where he's buried? Who cares where he's buried? He ain't haunting nobody. He's dead in a grave, man. He's dead in a grave, man. He ain't haunting nobody, man. Don't be so scared of these things, man. Don't be so scared of these things that, oh, the dead's gonna come and haunt you. Listen, man. When you're dead, end of, man. You ain't haunting nobody, man. You're dead, and that's the end of it, man. You're dead. Your spirit goes back to God, and God judges you and sends you back, man. You ain't gonna be walking around like a Casper the Ghost, spooking everyone out. All of that's nonsense as well. People thinking you're Casper the Ghost, spooking everyone out. People think, oh, you're sitting across the room watching them. Listen, man. There's none of that, man. When you're dead, that's it, man. All your works is done away with. Everything you've done, you can no longer do no more once you're dead. That's it, man. Stop being so scared of everything. Stop being so mythical. Stop thinking, oh, my granddad's looking down on me. Stop thinking, oh, my grandma's looking down on me. Look, man, they're not, man. All of that is a lie, man. All of this is a lie. I'm sorry to break it to you. It's not true. That's the lies that they sell us. All these people saying, oh, my loved ones is my angel. Listen, man. Most of these people, when they was here, they was doing all sorts of evil. So now the guardian ain't. Listen, man. How does that make sense to you? They was doing all manner of evil when they was here, and now they've just transformed into this beautiful thing that wouldn't hurt a fly. That wouldn't hurt a fly now. Listen, man. Stop being so simple, man. Don't be so simple your whole life, man. I pray you don't be so simple your whole life. Let's read on. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. For the what? Cannot do evil, man. These idols can't do evil. Neither also is it in them to do good. Neither also is it in them to do good, because they can't do anything. They can't do nothing, man. There's nothing that they can do. For as much as there is none like unto thee, O Lord, thou art great, and thy name is great in might. And listen, man, the Lord is great, man. These nations can't do nothing. Let me get Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 16. So, like, I mean, these idols can't do nothing. They can't go, they can't talk, they can't stand up, they can't see you. You had to make it. If you didn't make it, it wouldn't exist. If you didn't make it, it wouldn't exist, man. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32. Give me 1 second. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and verse 16. They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods. We provoke God to jealousy with strange gods, man. All his praise and his glory, we wanted to give it to Shiva, to Krishna, to Buddha, to Caesar Borgia, to your Pope, to Selassie, to Rastafari. Listen, man, Rastafari. That just sounds so stupid. Rastafari, Selassie the first. Listen, man. That's the dumbest thing ever, man. When you say Selassie the first, that's not even a one. No. When you say Selassie, it's not even an I. It's a Roman numeral, man. You're talking about Selassie I. At the end of it, that's not an I. That's a Roman numeral, man, which lets you know how simple our people are, man. If you're gonna believe in something, at least do the damn research, man. At least do the damn research, man. Selassie I. That's a Roman numeral, man. And the thing is that please do the listen before you follow something. Please do the research and don't be so simple your whole damn life, man. Let me go back to Deuteronomy 32 and 16. They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods, with abominations. Provoked they him to anger. They sacrificed unto devils, not to God. And that's what we did back then, man. Sacrificed unto devils and not God. And we do that right now when we have christenings and so forth. You see, when we have christenings, that's us doing the same things, man. To gods whom they knew not. And all these gods, we didn't back then these gods didn't exist. You see, every week a new god seems to pop up, man. Every week someone says, because yeah, this god, blah blah blah, with a different. I'm thinking, who's this? These are gods that we knew not. 10 years from now, something new will pop up. Some new craze will pop up that everybody wants to jump on. Once upon a time, it was what? Christianity. Then it was what? Rastafarianism. Then Egyptology. Then some next nonsense. Then the 5%ers. Then the Nation of Islam. It keeps going round and round, and all these is gods that we knew not. Says, to gods whom they knew not, to new gods that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not. Abraham didn't fear no Allah, man. Abraham didn't have no Christian cross on his neck. Abraham didn't fear no Krishna. Abraham didn't fear no Vishnu. Abraham didn't fear no Christmas tree, man. Our fathers didn't fear these things. You know why? Because they was rolling with the Lord, man. They was rolling with the Lord, and they knew that all of that stuff was garbage, man. Says, feared not. Let me see where I'm at. That's it on that. We're going to go to Isaiah chapter 44 and verse 8. And also, if you got any questions, just type them in. Again, it's just me one in the UK today, all the other all the other Akim and the sisters, they're gone to California. So yeah, flying out to California for the cookout. Lord be with them. They're still on the flight now. Isaiah chapter 44 and verse 8. Fear ye not, neither be afraid. Have I not told thee from that time and have declared it? Ye are even my witnesses. Is there a God beside me? And the Lord's asking, yo, is there a God beside me? Yeah, there is no God. I know not any. And he's saying there's no God, man. There's no God beside the Most High, man. All these idols ain't gods. You call them gods, but they ain't gods, man. All these idols is what? Just a bit of wood, a bit of stone, a cow, which is what? A bit of meat, a fish, which is what? A bit of meat that people like to worship. Those things ain't gods, man. Them things ain't gods. But we like to worship them like they are. You see Allah that you worship so much. That's just a stone. That's like any stone you can see outside. That's any stone you can see outside. That stone out over there is no different to the stones you walk past every day, man. If you want to worship a stone, you don't need to go all the way to Mecca. You can worship the one that you walk past when you come out of your house every morning, man. It's just a stone. Stones is things that we used to stone people to death with. That's it. That's all it is. In that day, who knows? We probably stone these Muslims with the Kaaba stone if they don't repent. They that make a graven image are all of them vanity. Meaning what? You've made a graven image, and that graven image is worthless, man. You've made that for what you made that for is pointless. Because what you made that for, it ain't gonna do. You made that to pray to it to make your life better, and it ain't gonna make your life better, man. You made that to what? Pray to it so you get wealth and riches and health, and you ain't gonna get health and riches, man. You're praying to this stone, and this stone can't hear, and it can't see, and it can't bless, and it can't curse. This stone can't do nothing, man. And their delectable things shall not profit. Delectable is what? Another word for beautiful. So it says, and their delectable things shall not profit, meaning what? Some of these things that they make, they see them as beautiful, like what? That big Jesus in Rio, that big Caesar Borgia in Rio. The whole world sees that as delectable, man, which means beautiful. The whole world sees that as that's beautiful. Look how high up that Caesar Borgia statue is in Rio de Janeiro. Says their delectable things shall not profit. Guess what? That so-called beautiful statue that you love so much, it's not going to profit, man. It's not going to profit. That beautiful statue that you paid or that money to resurrect. That beautiful statue that you believe makes you holier than thou if you go to it. That beautiful statue that you just want to touch so much, that you just want to kiss so much. It's not going to profit, man. It says, and they are their own witnesses. They see not, nor know that they may be ashamed. Listen, man, you're your own witnesses to these things, man. Nobody else don't witness these things, doing things. You're your own witnesses. You're telling lies, saying, yeah, this idol's changed my life so much. You're your own witness to that, man. Who have formed a god or molten a graven image that is profitable for nothing? Behold, all his fellows shall be ashamed. And listen, man, everyone who worships idols is going to be ashamed. All these Muslims in jail, you should be ashamed, man, that you worship an idol and Allah hasn't got you out of jail, man. Allah hasn't stopped you getting shot by the police. Allah hasn't stopped you being killed and so forth, man. Killed by the cops. You should be ashamed, man. You worshiping the idol, what? Because you believe it's a get out of jail card, right? And you still ain't got out of jail. You should be ashamed, man. Behold, all his fellows shall be ashamed, and the workmen, they are of men. Let them all be gathered together. Let them stand up, yet they shall fear, and they shall be ashamed together. Listen, man. All these people that worship these idols is going to be ashamed together, because the day of the Lord's coming soon, man. When Jesus Christ is going to come back, and men are going to cast off their idols. They're going to throw them stones and try and run away as far as them as possible. But by that time, it's going to be too late, man. You need to stop worshiping that nonsense now. You got to stop worshiping all that nonsense now. Let me get Psalms chapter 96 and verse 1. The book of Psalms, chapter 96 and verse 1. Oh, sing unto the Lord a new song. Sing unto the Lord, all the earth. Sing unto the Lord. Sing unto the Lord. Bless his name. Show forth his salvation from day to day. Declare his glory among the heathen, his wonders among all people. That's what we're supposed to do, man. Declare his glory, man, among everyone. For the Lord is great and greatly to be praised. For the Lord is great and greatly to be praised, man. The Lord's very great and great to be praised. He delivered us out of Egypt, man. He delivered us out of Egypt. He gave us a land, man. He gave us everything we needed. He gave us everything we needed, man. For the Lord is great and greatly to be praised. He's to be feared above all gods. He's to what? Be feared above all gods, man. Why? Because this God can actually hear. He can see. He can move. He doesn't need to be nailed down so he can stand up. He doesn't need to be born, which means carried around. He doesn't need to be carried around so he goes where you go. He don't need that, man. But the idols do. Says, for the Lord is great and greatly to be praised. He's to be feared above all gods. And listen, the God of the Bible is the only God which ain't attached to an idol. Every other religion is attached to some idol. Every religion you have on this face of this earth is attached to some kind of idol, man. The only God who ain't attached to some idol is the God of the Bible, because he's real, man, and he don't need no idols. It says, for all the gods of the nations are idols. It says, for all the gods of the nations are idols, which is true, man. All these religions, the East Indian God, idol. Chinese God, idol. Arab God, idol. Iranian God, idol. Egyptian God, idol. African gods, idol. All the religions, their God is an idol. All these other nations, their God is an idol. Some form of statue, some form of picture, human body, animal face. Especially in Egypt, there are a ton of idols, man. Islam, ton of idols. Africans, ton of idols. The Hindus and the Sikhs, ton of idols. All these religions is attached to idols. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord made the heavens. It's telling you, our God made the heavens, man. Our God made the sky, the earth, everything, man. Honor and majesty are before him. Strength and beauty are in his sanctuary. And there you go, man. From there, let me get Genesis chapter 1 and verse 20. The book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 20. And God said, let the waters. So, look, is this the right one? Oh, yeah. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that have life and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. So this is when the angels was creating what? The animals and so forth. And God said, let there be this, meaning he told them how he wanted it. And then they went and created it. And God created great whales and every living creature that moveth which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. So you see all these animals that people worship. The God of the Bible created them, man. Our God created them, man, which lets you know our God is greater than all these gods on the face of the earth, because they worship the creation rather than the creator, man. They worship the creation rather than the creator. They worship these great whales, man. They worship these elephants. They worship these cows. And right here is telling you that God created these things, man. And when he created them, he didn't tell us to worship them. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth. Now listen, this is God giving these animals an order, man. So the animals that these nations worship, our God was giving these animals an order, man. Be fruitful and multiply, man. And guess what? They did, as he said, be fruitful and multiplied. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing and beast. The earth after his kind, and it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind. Basically, this is creating all the animals, beast after his kind, the cattle after their kind, like the land animals, the big beasts, the tigers, and so forth. And everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and everything that creeps upon the earth, like on all fours and whatnot. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let us make man in our image. So now God said, let us make man in our image, meaning what? Make man in our likeness, man. Meaning make man have our mannerisms. Let's make man operate how we operate. Like make man keep these laws, man. That's what it said. Their image was their reputation. Like we've got a reputation. Let's make these men have our reputation. Their reputation is what? Not to worship idols. Their reputation is to keep laws, statutes, and commandments. God wanted us to. That's what it meant by let us make man in our image. Some simpletons read this and think this right here means God made man to look like him. Listen, man. All of us look different, man. All of us in Israel, all of us look different, man. Which lets you know, obviously, making the image ain't talking about how we look. This image was talking about reputation. Like when someone says, "Oh, he's got a bad image." When you say he's got a bad image, you're not saying he looks bad. You're talking about his reputation and what he does. And God had a good image, a good reputation, and he wanted us to keep up his good image, his good reputation, and do things how the angels done it after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea. There it said, let us have dominion over the fish of the sea, man. It said, let us rule over them. It said, let us rule over them, not worship them. The Lord said, we must have dominion over them things, man. So how the hell are we worshiping them? It says, and over the fowl of the air. We also meant to have dominion over the fowls of the air. And guess what? Lo and behold, we started worshiping the fowls of the air, man. When the Lord gave us dominion over them, man. And over the cattle and over all the earth and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. We meant to rule over all these things. Say, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply. God blessed them, man. It said, be fruitful and multiply. And God created us in his image, man. Male and female created he them, man. In his image, man, meaning with his reputation, meant to keep laws, statutes, and commandments, meant to be upright, meant to be righteous. That's how we was created to be. But no, what happens? We wanted to go worship idols and statues and everything else. We want to worship ourselves and celebrate our birthday and all of those things. Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 15. Take ye therefore good heed unto yourselves, for ye saw no manner of similitude on the day that the Lord spake unto you in Horeb out of the midst of the fire. So now when the Lord spoke to us out of the midst of the fire in Horeb, we saw no similitude, which means what? Similitude is no shape, no likeness. So you didn't see no shape or no likeness. It's going to tell you why you didn't see no shape or no likeness. Lest ye corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image. Because the Lord knew that obviously we could get real simple and be a bunch of simpletons, man. He knew that we could be a bunch of simpletons. So he appeared to us with no similitude, no likeness. So obviously, if because you didn't see no likeness, you ain't gonna make a graven image. Because if you did see a likeness and a shape, like say for instance, if you saw a triangle, what are you gonna do? Make an image of a triangle and worship it. The Lord didn't want us to do that. So he appeared to us in the fire with no shape, no form, no similitude. That's what similitude is, no shape. Lest ye corrupt yourselves and make your graven image, the similitude of any figure, meaning a shape of any figure, a likeness of any figure, the likeness of male or female, so that we don't make something which is the likeness of a male or female, like what every other nation does. The likeness of any beast, the likeness of any beast, which is what every other nation does, that is on the earth, and the likeness of any winged fowl that flieth in the air, what these other nations do. The likeness of anything that creepeth on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth, what these other nations do. And lest thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them and serve them, which the Lord thy God have divided unto all nations under the whole heaven. So you see the moon and the stars? The Lord divided that to every nation under heaven, man. He divided it to every nation under heaven, and he said, we ain't supposed to worship it. We ain't supposed to be driven to worship it, man. But what happens now? We worship it now, man. We worship the stars, we worship the moon. And what does it mean to worship something? To bow down to it, to praise it and reverence it, to pray to it, to give glory to it, and so forth. That's what we go ahead and do now. And the stars and even all the hosts of heaven should just be driven to worship them and serve them, which the Lord thy God have divided unto all nations under the whole heaven. But the Lord have taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace. The Lord brought us out of the iron furnace, man. The Lord brought us out of them hard times, out of oppression, out of slavery, out of Egypt. That's what he's talking about. Even out of Egypt, to be unto him a people of inheritance as ye are this day. And he brought us out of that to be a people of inheritance, man. A righteous people, a good people, man. Furthermore, the Lord was angry with me for your sakes and swear that I should not go over Jordan. Now, this is Moses saying the Lord was angry with us, not angry with him for our sakes, because the Lord said to Moses, what? Strike this rock and bring water out. But Moses was so frustrated with us. Moses said, do you want me to strike this rock and bring water out? Which basically the Lord looked at it like Moses is trying to take this glory. And because of that, Moses didn't make it into the land. We is the reason why Moses didn't make it into the other side of Jordan. Because of what we did, man. All the problems we caused. Can you imagine how stressed Moses was? You didn't listen. You know how hard it was to deal with us as it is. Imagine dealing with thousands of us, man. Every day you got someone moaning. Every day you got someone murmuring. Moses is there doing the best he can, and people just still moaning. People moaning. People's murmuring. People saying, "Oh, I'd rather go back to Egypt." People saying, "I'd rather go back to slavery." People saying, "Oh, why did you take us out?" People complaining. People not wanting to serve God. People wanting to do whatever they want to do. Listen, man. Can you imagine how Moses was feeling? You know how he's dealing with us already, man. Over Jordan, and that should not go in unto that good land, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for inheritance. But I must die in this land. I must not go over Jordan, but ye shall go over and possess that good land. And listen, man, Moses was such a meek and righteous brother, man. We the reason why Moses couldn't go over, and Moses didn't hold it against us, man. Moses said, "Don't worry, you should go over there." That's how righteous and meek Moses was, man. Moses wasn't one of them brothers that's wishing death on everybody. Moses wasn't like GMS, man, wishing death on everybody. Moses was a meek, righteous, humble brother, man. Take heed unto yourselves, lest ye forget the covenant of the Lord your God, which he made with you, and make you a graven image. It said, take heed, man. Meaning, take notice, man, that you don't make a graven image. Don't make a graven image, man, or the likeness of anything which the Lord thy God have forbidden thee. And we ain't supposed to do what the Lord's forbidden us to do, man. The Lord's forbidden us to do a ton of things. For the Lord thy God is a consuming fire, even a jealous God. And it's telling you again, we've read it 3 times, that he's a jealous power, man. He don't want you to give his glory to nobody else. And he don't want no one else to have his glory, man. The Lord wants all the praise and all the glory, man. When thou shalt beget children and children's children, and ye shall have remained long in the land, and shall corrupt yourselves and make a graven image or the likeness of anything, or shall do evil in the sight of the Lord thy God to provoke him to anger, I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that ye shall soon utterly perish. And guess what? Lo and behold, man, we perish from off the land. This is why we're in England right now. We're in America right now. We're in Brazil right now. We're in countries that we shouldn't even know exist, man. We're in countries that we shouldn't even know exist. That ye shall soon utterly perish from off the land, whereunto ye go over Jordan to possess it. Ye shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. And we was destroyed from off the land, man. We was destroyed from off the land, man. Our nation was split in two, northern kingdom and southern kingdom. The Romans done them, came in and ruled all over us. We had to flee to West Africa. Then guess what? The Romans found us after that. Came with slave ships and took us all the way across the Atlantic, man. Took us all the way, man, like on a 3-month journey, man. Took us on a slave ship. We therefore perish from off the land, which lets you know this Bible ain't telling no lies, man. Ain't no lies been detected, man. This Bible's the truth. And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations. And we're scattered amongst the nations, ain't we? This is why some of us is in Brazil, Jamaica, England, Cuba, Peru, Mexico, and everywhere else. We're all over the world. We're scattered amongst the nations. We're in lands which ain't ours, man. We're living amongst heathens, man. We're living amongst heathens because we've been scattered amongst the nations. And the Lord shall scatter you amongst the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen. Whither the Lord shall lead you, and there ye shall serve gods, the work of men's hands. And now we came to this place and got our back whipped. And now we're serving the work of men's hands, serving stones, serving wood, serving nonsense. Now we're serving the work of man's hands now. We're here in slavery, serving the work of man's hands. Wood and stone. Wood being what? Christian cross. Stone being what? The carver stone. And that's what we're serving, man. Wood and stone, man. The same wood which you put on your floor for floorboards. That's what we're worshipping, man. The same stone that you put in front of a door to hold the door open. That's what we're now worshipping. Do you know how silly that sounds? Them laminated floorings, man. The wood you're worshipping is no different to the laminated flooring on your floor, man. The stone you're worshipping is no different to the stone you put in front of the door to wedge the door open, man. It's no different, man. Do you know how silly it sounds that now we're worshipping them things, wood and stone? We've done fell a long way, man. We've done fell a long way. But if wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell, these things neither see, these things neither hear, these things neither eat, these things neither smell. But if from thence thou shalt seek the Lord thy God, thou shalt find him, if thou seek him with all thy heart and with all thy soul. And we need to seek God, man. If we seek to God, we would find him, man. If we seek to God, we would find him. But we don't want to seek God, man. Because what? Weed's more important. Being a drug dealer is more important. Being a criminal is more important. Being a murderer is more important. All these things is what? More important than seeking God, man. To us now. And this is why we're in the state that we're in. This is why we're in this low state that we're in right now. This is why we are slave in England right now, man. This is why. Thou shalt find him if thou seek him with all thy heart and with all thy soul. When thou art in tribulation, and all these things will come upon thee, even in the latter days, if thou turn to the Lord thy God, and shalt be obedient unto his voice. Listen, man. If we be obedient unto God, he will redeem us, man. If we be obedient, God will redeem us, man. He will come and save us from all our house, come and save us from all our captivity, man. Save us from all this nonsense. But obviously, we need to be obedient. But the thing is, we refuse to be obedient, man. We don't want to be obedient. Yeah, we don't want to be obedient, man. Um, let's get John chapter 4, verse 22. The book of John, chapter 4, and verse 22. Ye worship, ye know not what. Basically, let me give you the backdrop. Let me go up one verse. Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Lord, Yahushua is telling her, look, man, you're a heathen, and the time's coming where you ain't going to worship the Father in this mountain or not at Jerusalem. Because she ain't one of us. She thought she was one of us. The reason she thought she was one of us is because what? Is because in 2 Kings, the 17th chapter, we was taken out of the land, and some next people was put them back in the land, and they brought a priest back to the land to teach them certain things. And obviously the priest that they brought back taught them some things. And then obviously she thought she was one of us, talking about, yeah, we worship in this mountain. That's why she thought she worshipped in that mountain, because that priest taught them this is what you do, blah 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 blah. So she went back thinking she's one of us. So it says, woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Ye worship, ye know not what. So Yahushua is saying, yo, you worship him, but you don't know what you worship. So you see, everybody that's a non-Israelite that's trying to join, they don't know what they're worshiping. They don't know, man. We know what we worship. And it says, for we know what we worship. Us Israelites, we know what we worship. For salvation is of the Jews. For salvation is of the Jews, man. But the hour cometh, and now is when the true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. It says the true worshippers shall worship. It says the true worshippers shall worship the Most High in spirit and in truth. In spirit and in truth, not by kissing an idol, not by kissing a cross on your neck, but the true worshippers will worship in spirit and in truth. Meaning what? Not with idols, man. Any man can kiss an idol. Any man can kiss a cross. Any man can bang his head on the rocks. Any man can do that. But you have to worship the God of the Bible in spirit and in truth, man. Meaning, according to what's written, you have to worship him the way this is written, man. In spirit and in truth, meaning you have to worship him by keeping his law, statutes, and commandments, man. You can't worship him by you just having a cross on your neck and people seeing it saying, yeah, that guy's holy because he's got a cross on his neck. You can't worship him by going to Mecca and kissing a stone and people thinking you're righteous. These times you evil as hell. You can't worship the God of the Bible like that, man. You have to worship him in spirit and in truth. And the Lord requires the true worshippers to worship him like that. And anyone that has idols ain't a true worshipper of God, man, because God's against idolatry. But the hour cometh now when the true worshipper shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth, for the Father seeketh such to worship him. It says the Father seeketh such to worship him, man. The Father seeks such to worship him in spirit and in truth. It says God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. It says God is a spirit. It didn't say God is an idol, man. It didn't say God is a statue. It didn't say God is the carved stone. It didn't say God is the Christian cross. It says God is a spirit, and you have to worship him in spirit and in truth. And there's no idols attached to God, man. You can't worship God with no idols, man. God don't require you to worship him in that way, man. That's these other nations' way of worship with idols and whatnot. That ain't our way of worship, man. And with that, that brings us to the end of the class. I'm going to do the announcements and the prayers. All right, ISUPK security announcements. We had the I.S.U.P.K started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers chapter 18, verse 21. Malachi chapter 3 and 8 through 10 means 10th in the Hebrew, ma'ashra. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to Treasury Department of Teacher. Priest funds, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocations, feast of trumpets, Saturday. Or Acumen Aquaf, check the bulletin board in the hallway, and to check all I.S.U.P.K social media. If anyone wants to become a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black, boot, shirt, pants, headbands, and scarf. And with that, we're going to do the Lord's Prayer. So we're going to rise and face the east. Abba Noah, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayat, Shankar, Yahweh, Malakavka, Faba'ah, Ratazaka, Hayat, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Hayat, Bashamayim, Nafanlanawa, Nakam, Kau, Yawam, Wasalakinawa, Kabawafinawa, Kasalakinawa, Kabawafinawa, Wala'a, Fabi Ainawa, Banasayawan, Abol, Awashainawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Papa Araf, La'avalomyam, Amen. In the English, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. And with that, Shalom, Israel. Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Kafam, to all my brothers, Yahshua Alpha Hashem Yahshai, to all my sisters. And with that, class dismissed. Shalom, Israel.